Merry Christmas to one and all. I'm unable to be in Minnesota this year, so I'm not going to be able to do the traditional reading of the books that we love so much for this time of the year, so I figured I'm just going to have to do it remotely. So what I recommend is a really, really big screen TV, something huge that'll make the whole thing look gargantuan, because this face deserves to be there. You know what I'm saying? So let's do the first one. We're going to do How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now that is a book to remember. So this book, well, it's my life story. I've been working on it for a long time, and I think it kind of captures the essence of how I feel about people in general. Anyway, let's go at it, shall we? So How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. So I shall open the book, and of course you can see the title page of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. You'll see that there is a wonderful drawing on here. That's a self-portrait right there. You see, that's me right there. That's me. And it's by Dr. Seuss. The dedication is for somebody I've never met, Teddy Owens, and I thought that would be appropriate because it's just somebody I don't know. So we will go to the first page, and it says, "Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not." There he is right there. I'm trying to get this web camera thing going. It's somewhere over here. There we go. Oh, there he is over there. All right, how's that? The Grinch hated Christmas. The whole Christmas season. Please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. You think he could go to the store for that. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. It's enough to make one weep. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's. He's staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to keep Christmas from coming. Rawr! For tomorrow he knew. All the Who girls and boys, yeah, that's right, the Who girls and boys, okay, they do have the separate genders in Whoville. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early and then rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Was that a good acting choice there, the dramatic sounds and the, yeah, okay. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast. Oh, and they'd feast. And they'd feast, feast, feast. They'd feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch did not like in the least. I don't know, maybe he was like on a diet or something, I don't know. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. It's just beautiful. They'd sing and they'd sing, how they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop the whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. The Grinch got an awful idea. A wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick, with this coat and this hat. I look just like St. Nick. All I needed a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce and were none to be found, did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and tied a big horn on the top of his head. There's Max right there. You guys can all say aw to Max. 3, 2, 1. Aw. He's kind of a cutie, isn't he? Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. There's Max right there on the end of the sleigh, and the Grinch said, "Get up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. There was Max right there. I didn't show him the first time. Ain't he cute? You gotta wonder, that horn on the top of his head, I'm surprised his head could stay up. All their windows were dark. Cricket, 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 cricket. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. Like people in California. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claude hissed, and he climbed to the roof with empty bags in his fist. Now, I think we should call OSHA, because that's clearly not a safe way to climb a roof. I mean, there's got to be some sort of regulation involved here, you know what I'm saying? Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two, and he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." I have to pause for a moment because my light died, and you won't be able to see it, so just a moment. Ah, my light's back on. Hooray! Apparently it was keeping up with the story, you know what I'm saying? He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue. It's a good word, flue. Where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Rawr, 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 rawr. Are we having fun yet? Do we need to take a break, perhaps for some, I don't know, Julie, some wine, perhaps? Yeah, who knows? Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, plums. He stuffed them in bags. And then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Whoop. Then he slunk to the icebox. This guy took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. See, if he didn't diet, that's what does it. Dieting is what does it to you. I'm telling you, this is something to avoid. And then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." Ha ha! So, the Grinch grabbed the tree, started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. Cue the dove. Cue the dove. That's all we could afford. He turned round fast, and he saw a small Who. Little Cindy Hulu. Not more than 2. There she is, wearing a pink number. I think it's from Chanel. I'm not sure, but it's just beautiful. It's wonderful. She walks just like she's made for it. It's perfect. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter. Did you hear something? I thought I heard something. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cold cup of water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Yeah. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on one side of this tree that it won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." Huh? His fib fooled the child. She must have been not more than 2. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney, all together now, and stuffed the tree up. Yeah, good audience participation, thank you. The last thing he took was the log for their fire. All that he left was nothing but hooks and some wire. Oh, I messed that up. Then he went to the chimney himself, the old liar. On the walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for an elephant. Mouse. Sorry, mouse. It looks so similar. They have a little picture here of the mouse. See if you can see it. The little tiny mouse there, see him? And it's a speck even too small for him. It's not a very nice fellow, this Grinch. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. A lot of very unhappy mice in this story. Have you noticed that? Disney would never approve. It was 1/4 dawn. All the Who's still to bed. All the Who's still to snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet he rode with his load to the tip-top to... Thank you for filling that in. Dump it. That's exactly right. Again, very precarious. I'm pretty sure that they have not complied with all the OSHA requirements. "Pooh-pooh to the Who's," he was grinchiously humming. "They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what to do. I know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two, and then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry." Yeah, boo-hoo. That's what the story says. Have you heard this before? "That is a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and he put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound. Rising over the snow, it started in low, and then it started to grow. But the sound was not sad. This sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville, and the Grinch popped his eyes when he shook, and he saw a shocking surprise. His eyes look popped to you. That's what the story says. It says popped, so that must be why they're red. I'm not sure. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. 3 hours on a puzzler is a long time. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little more. And what happened then? Well, down in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And no, Rob, not that kind of whiz, okay? The whiz meaning going very fast down a mountainside, all right? Let's keep that clear, okay? And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. The end. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will have another one for the wonderful story about 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, or whatever that old title was that Lisa always says and doesn't want me to say the other one. So we'll talk to you in a bit.